Established 1987 in a disused Victorian warehouse, Crash provided a new avenue for bands to practice in, channeling musicians into a more productive rehearsal environment. We spoke to Andy Fairnehoff, studio manager, to learn more about the place.
Crash was started 23 years ago by John and Mark. Before that there was SOS Studios, which was a small recording studio here, and then they took it over and it became Crash. If you're in the centre of town around Dale Street, we're down a little alleyway called Davis Street. I know there are other studios further afield, but I think we're pretty fortunate to be right in the city centre. John and Mark saw a need for rehearsal space that was just a bit more professional and gave bands a bit more of an experience of being able to rehearse as though they were in a live gig. A lot of people, are not able, especially guitarists and drummers, can't do that kind of thing at home or wherever they might have practiced before. All sorts of bands have been here over the years. Once upon a time there was some kind of John Lennon tribute, and there were a lot of musicians in town, and so we had at that point Lou Reed, Kylie Minogue, Wet Wet Wet, all sorts of people coming through the door. Stories about Lou Reed not being very impressed with the ashtrays that were here. He wanted something on a pedestal and we didn't have that, so he sent a lackey around to find one somewhere in town. But not an issue anymore since the smoking ban. So.
Crash is run by a team of professionals whose attributes have been recognised by the music industry. With this unit in place, it's easy to see why there is such A&R interest in the place, and why practising at Crash is a musical experience.
Here, the staff at Crash, we've got John and Mark. They've run the place for 23 years, so they've got a wealth of experience. Then there's also Paul, a great musician, and there's myself as well, with background, with sound and drums. Crash staff are obviously available to give any kind of advice that's needed, and are qualified to advise on a number of things. John and Mark in particular have got a huge experience in the music industry. We're known as a place where a lot of talent starts out. So over the years we've had showcases, and that's enabled the A&R people to check out a band they're thinking of signing. I think with the advent of MySpace, it's very easy now for A&R guys to not bother to leave the office and just on their computer check out a few bands. But what's really cool is we had one at the end of last year, and it was a really great experience for a lot of the bands to actually meet A&R people face to face. A new band coming in could possibly feel a little bit intimidated with the surroundings. We get calls all the time from people who seem to think there's some kind of barrier to using a facility like this, but there really isn't. Bands that come here, they get a warm welcome, they get as much attention as possible. Whatever they need, we try and provide them with it. All the rooms have got a professional PA system, and that will include all the mics you need, a mixing desk, usually a crossover, power amps. It's always set up to sound good the minute you walk in. But if you need to do anything else, plug in acoustic guitars, plug in synths or whatever, the Crash staff are there to help you. It's professional, but it's available to anybody. If you are hiring gear from Crash, we've got a lot of Marshall stacks, JCM 900s, and some older Super Leads. In terms of bass amps, there's Hardcore and Warwick. Some pretty decent gear. In drums, we've got Pearl and Tama kits. It's top quality gear and it's well looked after, and that's important. If you go to various rehearsal rooms, sometimes space is an issue, sometimes the sound is an issue. And what you've got here is really a bit of a luxury in terms of space, and it just enables you to be more productive. It's a very sociable kind of place. A lot of people know each other here. I don't think there's many places that can offer as much in those terms. But then there are other things. We can accommodate all sorts of lengths of stay, if you like. We've got a bar area. We've also got a recording studio, so we've got a recording studio upstairs. Bands also store their equipment here. It's all here. So there's a lot of things under one roof, really, in terms of the music scene and the social aspect. Apart from going out to a gig, pretty much everything you need is here, and that's something pretty special.